Let's bring you some perspective to the Central Bank of Nigeria's intervention schemes across key sectors. As part of its efforts in supporting the development of the non-interest financial or finance in the country, the Central Bank has announced guidelines targeted at various intervention programs. The guidelines provide an opportunity for non-interest finance institutions to broaden their activities. The CBN recently launched a total of 11 intervention schemes aimed at increasing access to finance by non-interest financial institutions, which includes non-interest guidelines for accelerated agricultural development scheme, textile sector, guidelines for operations of the agri-business, small and medium enterprises development or investment schemes for non-interest financial institutions. Others are non-interest guidelines for non-oil export stimulation facility, Anchor's borrower program rail sector support facility, reverse guidelines operations of credit support for the healthcare sector, as well as modalities for implementation of the creative industry. Financing initiatives, non-interest versions, and non-interest guidelines for the implementation of the 50 billion naira targeted credit facility. The eligibility criteria for key sectors clearly established beneficiaries must be Nigerian youths within the age of 18 to 35. For the textile sector, for example, beneficiaries sign an undertaking to abide by the terms of agreement of the scheme. Other criteria are any textile company with any or an existing in the books of BOI under the CTG scheme, which is eligible to apply. Textile companies with existing facilities in DMBs, NFIS can apply. Textile companies that are not participating under the SME RRF can also apply. In terms of financing, the Central Bank of Nigeria explains in the circular that the participating financial institutions will act as agents of the CBN in disbursing the financing to beneficiaries by using the CBN-approved non-interest financing contract of Marabaha and Istigna at an all-extensive or inclusive rates of return of 9%. For the financing tenor in the agri space, the CBN approved 6 months for grains and boilers production, which includes rice, maize, and soybeans, amongst others. It also earmarked 18 months for cassava, 24 months for egg production, and 5 years for plantation crops. It further stated that on the side of the average financing, 250,000 naira will go for a size per acre of arable crops, with 500,000 naira per unit for livestock and 1.5 million naira for plantation crops like cocoa, cashew, and oil palm. Joining me now live to explore these nuggets, I have Professor Abdulrazak Alaro. He's the head of Department Islamic Law at University of Ilorin. Prof, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome, Chalu.
Now, let's start with you helping us to broaden our understanding of Islamic banking or Islamic finance, what it really stands for, before we dovetail into the guidelines by the Central Bank of Nigeria.
Once again, thank you very much. It's a very important question and a very good way of entering into the discussion. Islamic banking, Islamic finance. To have a comprehensive understanding of this banking sector, banking system, it may be necessary to first of all go into what we call the ratio d'etre of the banking system itself. Why did we need banks in the first place? It is a matter of consensus that banks were introduced into the economy on the basis of what we call financial intermediation. It was felt at a particular stage of human development that there was a need for funds to move from the two units of economy, moving the funds from the surplus unit to the deficit unit through the mechanism of financial intermediation. This is the summary of what any bank in the world does as an economic or financial activity. Now, it was believed for centuries that for you to do successful financial intermediation, transferring funds from the surplus unit to the deficit unit, you must charge or take interest to succeed. And that has been the practice for centuries, about 6 to 7 centuries. Until when this new form of banking came on board, and that is exactly what it has come to change. It has come to introduce a new perception into the banking practice. We continue to do the financial intermediation. As I told you, that is the raison d'etre of any banking system in the world. But is it necessary to charge? Is it necessary to give or take interest according to the Islamic financial system? The answer is no. And this is exactly what this banking order has come to challenge. And it has successfully done that one in the last 60 years or thereabout. Is a way, like I said, financial intermediation, it continues in the same pattern that funds are surplus in a particular unit and they have to productive sector. But in so doing, instead of creating an avenue for charging, taking, giving interest, this form of financing or banking seeks to create an economic synergy between the two units, through which they will all become active participants in the real economic activities to which those funds are being channeled. Putting it in other words, it means that an Islamic bank or a non-interest bank must concern itself with what the money, the fund is being channeled to, what the money is being used for, and how it is being used.
Now, Prof, let's
By
look at
that way, it will.
let's look at the unique opportunities now in the recently released interventions. What does an average Nigerian stand to gain in keying into them?
Okay. Well, there is a lot of opportunities, but because of our time, let me just enumerate some of them.
Okay.
It's very important for Nigerians really to know why they must key into these new interventions. I count it as a golden opportunity for every Nigerian that is capable, that is competent, that is qualified to key into them. One, it's a form of financing that allows or that accommodates what we call greenfield projects, that is startup businesses. A lot of people are facing this challenge. When you approach a commercial bank, whether it is conventional or even Islamic or non-interest bank, a conventional or a commercial bank is always reluctant, is always hesitant to support a startup business. So this particular intervention has looked into that area. A fresh graduate from a university, anybody that has a particular skill without any prior experience can come and access this intervention as a startup business. That is one unique opportunity that cannot be found in the financing facilities that are available in the commercial banks. Two, when you look at what is required in terms of collaterals, in terms of security, they are very, very affordable. This is another unique opportunity. I usually cite a particular example of those interventions, the one called Creative Industry Financing Initiative, particularly targeted at the teeming youth, unemployed youth of this nation, who are fresh graduates, they are skilled, they are capable of producing, but the only thing.
Now, Prof, let's continue from where you stopped before I take you through the risk management mechanism in these interventions.
Okay, I think we were discussing the unique opportunities in these interventions.
Yes.
I was speaking of a particular advantage that is available in interventions for interested Nigerians, and that is to talk about the percentage of return that is expected in this form of financing. It is a single-digit financing rate. That is also a unique opportunity. I don't know of any commercial bank in Nigeria that will advance either loan or financing at a single-digit percentage. So this is another very unique opportunity that should be attractive to every Nigerian to try to key into those interventions.
Interesting. I was talking about the risk management mechanism in these interventions. Take us through that, Prof.
Okay. When you talk about risk management, is of importance to Islamic banking or Islamic finance generally, because this is a unique form of banking, as I was talking of that in the beginning, that tells you must be ready to bear risk, to be qualified or to be entitled to any dividend or return. So from that perspective, risk management is very, very essential when we talk of any non-interest or Islamic financial facility. In this particular intervention, there are many ways, many mechanisms put in place already for risk management as a risk management strategy. For instance, I told you a short while ago, there will be need for you to provide collateral, to provide security.
I'm afraid we're having challenges with network from that end, but we'll still try to connect again before the end of the show to get the parting shot from Prof on this very important discourse. State oil giant Saudi Aramco's profit plunged 73% in the second quarter of the year as a slump in energy demand and prices due to coronavirus crisis hit sales at the world's biggest oil exporter. But the company is stuck with plans to pay $75 billion in dividends this year. All right. However, CEO Amin Nasser says global oil demand was recovering. All major oil companies have taken a hit in the second quarter as lockdowns to contain the coronavirus limited travels with reduced oil consumption and sent prices tumbling to levels that have not seen in 2 decades. I have feelers now that Prof is back. Prof.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
So you have to remind me what
yes,
point,
we're talking about the risk mechanism, Prof.
Okay, the risk mechanism. Okay.
Yes,
sorry for that. The network is not too good today.
Yes, the network has been.
Yes, I've spoken about the issue of collateral and the collateral and security and the requirement for same has been relaxed in this intervention. It's as easy as in some of those interventions, a state government can actually stand as a guarantor for the citizens of that state. They don't need to bring on board individual security or collaterals. But if their state government is ready to stand for them as a guarantor, particularly in the anchor borrower program, the state government can stand as an anchor that will guarantee performance of those those citizens of the state that are key into the system. There's another way of saying risk management. If your state government is not standing for you, there is what we call cooperative guaranteeing, cross-guaranteeing of one another. A group of farmers, a group of individuals that are into particular production, they can come together under this scheme and form what we call cooperative security, meaning that each and every member of the group will serve as a guarantor to the other, which means you will have to be on watch, because the default from any of you will actually affect the rest. So by that way, you will make sure that all of you perform effectively in your performance as it relates to this intervention. So there are a lot of ways of risk management. Let me mention one more, especially in relation to infractions. There are provisions, detailed provisions for infractions in these interventions. I keep on telling people it's not a free money. It is non-interest. It is interest-free, but it is not dividend-free. You have to enter into a contract, and you have to act in accordance with the terms and conditions of the contract you have entered into. If you breach any term or condition, there are ways of calling you to order, even embedded in this intervention. For example, you may be prosecuted for defaulting. You may be forced to pay if you are not paying. For example, you have a product that you have produced through any of this intervention, which it has been structured in such a way to do that even if you produce You already have an off-taker to buy from you. If you produce under this intervention as a farmer, for example, you don't need to go and look for who will buy from you. There is an arrangement for off-taker. But if you decide to now divert the product to another market, not following the terms and conditions, you have to be penalized and prosecuted for that. And you may also be blacklisted so that you will not be entitled to be a participant in any further intervention from the Central Bank of Nigeria. And this is not even limited to Nigerians as individuals. Even the participating financial institutions, if they try to manipulate the system, they try to breach the terms of agreement, there are ways of calling them to order. And I am warning the participating financial institutions to be wary of this particular fact. In fact, it is mentioned in the intervention that an infringement of the terms and conditions of this intervention may call for invocation of Section 60 of BOFIA, and they should be aware of the provision of Section 60 of BOFIA. BOFIA Section 60, subsection 4, is actually a way of saying we can revoke your banking license. So they have to be very careful. It's not a free money. It's a unique opportunity. It's full of many advantages and unique opportunities for every participant, but at the same time, risk management is being taken seriously.
Professor Abdulrazak Alaro, Head of Department, Islamic Law, University of Ilorin. Despite the challenges, thank God you are still able to pass the message. Thank you for your time.
Thanks so much.